guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing here a different variation of my Sacred Beast deck. This here is going to be the pure Hamon version. Last time we focused around Raviel being the pure variant, but this time I'm going to be trying out Hamon as the main starter of the deck. And this is definitely going to be very different, of course, because you might think that, oh, it's just the same thing. You have two 4K beat sticks, Raviel and Hamon, they're essentially the same thing, right? Wrong, they're not, because of the fact that they actually have different support which allows them to cater towards a different playstyle. When it comes to Raviel's deck, you're getting the Shimmering Scraper, pretty much encouraging you to go for OTKs, meaning it's a deck that's suited to going second turn. That's why I was able to go for the piercing damage or the piercing combo with the pure Raviel deck, and also be able to go into the armor tile combos really easily. However, with the Hamon deck, it's very different. You might think that they actually go for OTK as well with the 4K beat stick, but it's actually not the case. Surprisingly, this deck will focus more so on going first, and that will pretty much be the intention of this whole deck. So it is going to be very different, very fun to see what things could actually turn about with this particular variation of it. But before I dive on in, I want to remind you guys to drop a like, share, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed this video, because it really does help, and hit that bell notification as well. However, without further ado, let's just begin. So starting off here, as you know, the main card of the deck, we are playing 3 copies here of Hamon, Lord of Striking Thunder. Definitely the key card of the deck, of course, and a really good card too. Playing 3 copies of it does not hurt whatsoever. It's definitely really amazing, and it's just a really nice and simple effect, also being able to burn 1000 damage as well, so it is quite nice for what it's actually capable of. But of course, there's no doubt about it, we're going to be still playing the other Sacred Beasts. So I'm playing one Uriah and we're playing one Raviel. Both of these are definitely very nice, allowing you to go for your armor tile combos, and that opens up a slight viability in the deck, allowing for a few flexible plays, which is definitely fantastic. You don't want to just lock yourself to purely Hamon, because you're going to be restricting yourself a lot by doing that. So with that being said, I am going to be at least generous enough to try and include at least one extra copy of Uriah and Raviel. One thing I would like to actually point out is this deck is actually a 42 card deck, so if you actually wanted to cut down to 40 cards, you could technically remove these two and eliminate the whole Chaos Core combo. But if you actually do want to keep it, then playing a 42 card deck won't really hurt. But next, of course, we are playing our 3 copies of Dark Beckoning Beast and our 3 copies of Chaos Summoning Beast. Both cards are definitely very crucial for the deck. They are key cards that are definitely very necessary. That goes without saying that we also are playing 2 copies of Dark Summoning Beast. That does not change whatsoever. And this card here is less restricting in Hamon than it is Raviel, because you're going to favor going first. As a result, you want to be setting up boards that pretty much will generate a bunch of negates. Either way, this card won't detriment the deck whatsoever, since you're intending to go first. But don't rule out going second, because you could definitely still do quite a few things here, such as the Chaos Core combo. It's still always a viable option in this deck. As I said before, this deck is 42 cards, so if you wanted to save some space and cut it down to 40, you could always take out the Chaos Core and one of the other Sacred Beasts, and that would be okay. However, moving on, we are playing here a bit of a disruption. We're playing here 2 Radiants. I wanted to actually focus more on dealing with their opponents really quickly. With this case here, Radiant simply just gets rid of the monster rather than forcing out a negate, because in the sense of playing Nibiru forces the opponents to negate, and it has that vulnerability of being able to be negated. Whereas with Radiant, it's very unlikely your opponent's going to be playing Mask of Tribute or something like that. So with that being said, they can't really prevent you from doing a tribute at all, and as a result, Radiant just opens up a little bit more flexibility in the deck. But we are also going to be playing here 1 copy of Exodius. You guys might already notice, but I dropped it down to 1 copy. I thought that this would definitely work out better for the deck, and plus it is a bit more space restricting in this particular variation. Now as for the new addition to the deck, I'm playing here one Blackluster Soldier. We're playing 3 copies of Hamon here, so it kind of makes sense that I want to try and incorporate a Blackluster Soldier, which definitely works out really well for this deck. The remainder of our deck anyway is mostly just dark monsters, so playing that to the advantage with the Hamon would definitely catch the opponents off guard, so one Blackluster Soldier is truly amazing. However, I'm also playing here 3 copies of Ash Blossom. I want to disrupt the opponent as much as possible. I want to slow them down as much as possible, and you want to be focusing on negations, preventions, and disruptions, and as a result, it's just going to help out so much. You can opt to play Effect Failure instead, because Effect Failure will also fuel the grave for your Blackluster Soldier, but even so, the Hamons are already pretty much enough for you to pull off a Blackluster Soldier, because it's a card that usually happens in mid to late game. By then you'll already have at least 1 copy of Hamon in the grave. However, moving on to spells, there's no doubt about it that we're playing 2 copies of Opening of the Spirit Gates, 2 Fallen Paradise, and we're also playing the Dimension Fusion Destruction. These cards are self-explanatory, I don't really have to go over them anymore again. However, being that this is a Hamon deck, I wanted to play here 2 copies of Cerulean Skyfire. Essentially, you can negate any spells and traps that are activated as long as you have a face-up attack position Hamon on the field, and that definitely just works out really well with the Cerulean Skyfires. I wanted to play 2 because since this is the main focus, the opponent will try to destroy at least one of them, meaning you want to pull out the second one just in case. There is no need to play 3 because that might be a bit overkill anyway, but this is definitely really nice to again further make this deck go that whole direction of just preventing your opponents from doing things. For a bit of draw power, we are playing here 2 copies of Allure. Yes, you guys might notice I dropped it down to 3, from 3 to 2 at least, and in this particular case it's okay because you don't really need to worry too much about drawing anyway. We're playing Dark Beckoning Beast, Chaos Summoning Beast, Dark Summoning Beast, we're playing Opening of the Spirit Gate. We can search out so many of our cards that we actually need that the Allure of Darknesses don't really matter too much anyway, so dropping it down by 1 copy is not going to really hurt the deck at all. However, that goes without saying that we are still playing cards like Terraforming to help us do a bit of deck thinning, and cards like Called by the Grave and 1-for-1 generates a bit of flexibility options. We also have here an Upstart Goblin because, you know what, if you're going to be inflicting 1000 damage off Hamon's effect anyway, then giving your opponent 1000 attack isn't really going to be that big of a deal, or at least 1000 life points that is. As for traps, we're going to be playing 3 Awakening as always, and we're also going to be playing our Skill Drain. These cards you guys already know, they negate, they help out this deck so much, but one new addition I'm actually playing in this deck is 3 copies here of Solemn Strike. Solemn Strike essentially can negate summons, it's really powerful, negates effects as well, and it's a counter trap card, so it is a spell speed 3, very difficult to negate. As a result, this deck is catered towards just preventing your opponent as much as you possibly can. Of course, we are moving on to the extra deck now. We're still playing the exact same things for the extra deck. You know, the extra deck is the one thing that really just does not need any sort of change whatsoever. It's the kind of deck that just, I guess, it's always flexible anyway. It's not like you could just focus on just these. You could always just put in whatever cards you actually need for the extra deck, whatever works with you. But even so, I never find myself using the extra deck too much anyway, so it's not really a big concern, and as a result it's not really a big worry as to what I actually go into or what I even include in the extra deck, except for a few certain exceptions as you guys might have seen in previous videos where I've actually done test hands. However, given that this particular build now is definitely very different from the pure Raviel version. I'm sure there are going to be some different playstyles involved with the Hamon variant. So it's more so to show you guys, or at least demonstrate the consistency of the deck, rather than showing you how to play the deck, because by now I'm sure many of you who have actually watched a lot of the previous videos would already be able to play this deck without thinking at all. I mean, it's pretty much should be ingrained in you already, you know. It's a really great deck with, I mean, it's simplistic, but at the same time it adds that flexibility in the deck that it sometimes can be quite complex once you actually draw into certain cards, and how you play those cards could interact differently and alter the final board of your actual plays. But even so, it's definitely just something that is quite significant, and switching from something like Raviel into Hamon is just going to generate a great deal of variation. So hopefully you guys will join me in the test and videos for this, and I'll show you guys boards that could potentially just negate everything your opponent has. But with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for joining me. I hope you all have a fantastic day. I'll see you all next time.